Here is my Game Week 32 team selection, guys. We're looking at how I line up. We're looking at my chip strategy going in towards the end of the season, which has obviously changed again. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into the video. Now, we already looked at my results of the free hit in Game Week 31 a while ago, so we're not going to go through that again. And to be honest, after the free hit had been done, like, it did its job, but my original team would have done better. But thank God I didn't stick to my original team, because I would have used all of my free transfers and been in the mud. I would be screwed. So, you know, that's because Arsenal got knocked out of the FA Cup, which means I'm kind of more grateful I used the free hit, because there was an upset, and that's what I kind of used the free hit for, just in case I wasn't prepared for anything. This sort of helped me with that, and I was prepared for anything, so we're okay. Either way, my chip strategy is still pretty unorthodox. We'll talk about it later, but I'm not using the wildcard in Game Week 32. I'm not using the bench boost in Game Week 33, and I'm not using the free hit in Game Week 34. Well, I'll talk about it later. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but I kind of plan on, you know, trying to survive the next few game weeks. Then in Game Week 35 to Game Week 38, gain on everybody and manage to get myself into the top 5k, because that is the end goal of the season. Top 4 preferably, because I was 4.1k overall halfway through the season and I want to get back to where I was. As for my team this game week, I currently have 3 free transfers. I only plan on using one though. That's on the injured player Jurrien Timber, because I don't think he's going to be ready to play home to Bournemouth. I'm not going to make that transfer immediately, like right now. I'm going to wait for the press conferences to hear news on Timber's fitness, but I don't think he's going to be ready to start. And if that is the case, I'm going to be selling Jurrien Timber for O'Reilly. Away to Chelsea isn't great, but if I wasn't going to sell Timber this week, I'd be getting O'Reilly in for the double anyway. So I may as well just bring him in earlier if Timber's getting injured, which, you know, I don't think he's going to play. So that's most likely the transfer I'm going to make. So I'll keep him on this graphic. But just know, if he's not injured and he's going to start, I will keep him. Then just go to O'Reilly in the next game week. As for everyone else, I would say we have a pretty good game week. Verbruggen away to Burnley is a pretty good fixture. Maybe he could keep a clean sheet. He did when they played home to Burnley, and away to Burnley isn't that much harder. So what could go wrong? Brighton are actually quite strong defensively recently. Obviously, we've got O'Reilly ahead of him, and Gabriel is in the team. No one surprised there. If you go without Gabriel, you're kind of just setting yourself up for failure. But some of you on Wildcard may not be going for Gabriel, which I get, but I strongly disagree. I think anyone on Wildcard, no matter what your team is, you should probably own Gabriel. Then to finish off that back three, we have Vandenberg home to Everton, which is a fairly strong fixture. Vandenberg's on pretty good form right now. He's been a threat in the box. He's been getting defcons, clean sheets. Anything is possible with this man at the moment, so I'm very happy to own him. In the midfield, Bruno is our captain. I think everyone's going to have Bruno as the captain, so it's not much of a differential. Like, if he gets points, it probably won't positively affect me. It's just, if he wasn't my captain and he got points, he would be killing my rank. So Bruno, yeah, he's kind of on my team, but the swings aren't that big. We have Dango Ouattara, who did get rotated for the last Brentford game. I'm not sure why. It's a little worrying. I mean, I have Esteve on the bench as backup in case he doesn't play, but I'd rather Dango Ouattara on 30 minutes than Esteve on 90 minutes. But this situation is kind of out of my control. If Dango Ouattara is a rotation risk and doesn't start, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, the position I'm in, I kind of need him for the next 2 game weeks, so I'm hoping he's not a rotation risk. I'd be surprised if he was. I still think he's going to be a starting winger for Brentford. Maybe they just needed to line up a little differently against their last opponents. Dango Ouattara, please, my friend, start for me. I need the points, because these next few game weeks ain't going to be easy. We then have Declan Rice home to Bournemouth. Now, I could go Declan Rice to Semenyo, right? I'm going to bring in Semenyo in Game Week 33 when he's got his double game week, because going without Semenyo is very dangerous. I could just do it right now. I could go Rice to Semenyo, who plays away to Chelsea. Now, away to Chelsea on paper is a red fixture, whereas Declan Rice plays a green fixture, but Chelsea have not been on the best form recently, and Semenyo has been on amazing form. He's also very high owned, so if Semenyo outscores Rice, I'm going to be mudded. I'm going to be in a, having a bad game week. If Semenyo gets a return, I'm done, especially if Rice blanks. And I'm very tempted to just do it this game week, go Rice to Semenyo, but at the same time, I'm not. Like, Rice is a competent FPL asset with a good fixture who has potential for defcons, assists, and an extra clean sheet point, whereas Semenyo could blank. I mean, it doesn't look like he's blanking very often. I mean, he's not, but he may blank in a tough fixture away to Chelsea, whereas Rice may get a couple returns, which is why I'm leaning towards sticking with Rice. But that's not a guarantee. I post my team before the deadline on Twitter and on YouTube as a post. My final decision's made. You may see that photo and see Semenyo here instead of Rice. But I'm really fighting the urge to make that decision, because I just don't think it's worth the free transfer. Hopefully Rice can outscore Semenyo for the time being. But yeah, we'll see what I do before the deadline. The fear could kick in because going without Semenyo is just so risky. Then we have Gordon, who I owned as a differential in the first place, but now everybody's bringing Gordon in, and fair play. You know, you guys are catching on. Away to Palace may only be a grey fixture, but Palace, like Chelsea, are also on some bad form. This is a very good fixture for Gordon, and I think he will once again return for me. Unfortunately, his ownership is higher than it was, so the points aren't going to help me as much, but the differential times with Gordon, they were fun while they lasted. On to the front three. Mixed feelings to say the least. Haaland is essential, okay? I know he's been bad recently, but with the double game week and the fact he scored a hat-trick in the FA Cup, you know, he's had a good rest, now he's back on some good form. He could be a force to be reckoned with. The other two next to him, well, we've got Thiago and Ekitike, right? Now, a lot of people on Wildcard, they're going to go for Pedro alongside Haaland, go for Welbeck, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So Ekitike and Thiago are going to go from really high ownership to really low ownership. Now, that's a good thing this game week because Thiago and Ekitike, you know, home to Fulham and home to Everton respectively, are some really good differentials to own. Like, I am by no means upset having these guys with low ownership competing against the likes of Danny Welbeck and Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Pedro for the next game week. The issue is, when it comes to double game week 33, that is when Ekitike and Thiago probably won't hold their own. But if they can both get, you know, decent returns this game week, maybe across game week 32 and game week 33, they could match Welbeck, Pedro and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I doubt it, but it is possible. And if there's two single game week forwards I'm happy to have, it is these two. So hopefully they can come in clutch for me because I'm not one of those people in a luxurious enough position to have lots of double game week 33 players. I mean, I could have done that chip strategy, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm so bad I couldn't do it. I just didn't believe in it as the best chip strategy. Now let's look at some odds for the next game week. Arsenal top both metrics. No one is surprised they're topping the clean sheet odds. Although that number is wildly low for them. Like home to Bournemouth, you normally expect to see like 40, you know, 45, 50%, but it's only 39%, which surprises me. I thought it would be a little higher, but it could be to do with their poor form recently. They are carrying some pretty bad momentum. Like you see Man United only 3% below on 36% chance of a clean sheet. I don't think it's close, those two, in terms of how likely they are to keep a clean sheet next game week. I think Arsenal are a lot more likely, but that's just my opinion. I'll leave this up to the professionals. They probably know more than me. I'm not going to complain about the odds they've made because Verbruggen and Brighton have some of the highest clean sheet odds this game week, which is perfect for me as a Verbruggen owner. There's only really two huge main threats for me this game week that I'm actually worried about. I mean, Danny Welbeck's a sort of honourable mention to be worried about because I do think he's one of the best options this game week, and I do believe a lot of people on Wildcard will be bringing him in. But I think Van Dijk and Semenyo are the two I need to worry about. I'm not really in a position to bring in Van Dijk. Like I said, I am in a position to bring in Semenyo. But if I bring in Semenyo, then I'll be worried about Rice because Rice is still fairly, you know, high owned. Either way, I'm still trying to stay away from Semenyo. I'm just going to hope he blanks. The risk isn't really worth it. But I'm not a fan of making sideways transfers, and I do believe Rice to Semenyo would be a sideways transfer. I'm not going to sell an already good player just for a different good player, if that makes sense, just because I'm scared of his ownership. One thing I don't necessarily agree with is the Chelsea goal odds being higher than the Brentford ones. Like, come on, man. Everton, sure, they've kept a few clean sheets this season, but they're like 15th or 16th for expected goals conceded across the entire season. And in the last 8 game weeks, it is no better. So surely Brentford can come away with some goals here. I mean, that may just be my personal bias speaking because I own Thiago, Dango Ouattara and Van den Berg. But there's a reason I own 3 of those players because I believe they're a strong attack with a good fixture run. Having only 1.44 projected goals just doesn't feel right to me. But apart from those few things I've complained about or disagreed with, everything else seems fair here. Let me know what you guys think of the odds down in the comments below. Anyway, let's take a look at my chip strategy and why I'm not going with wildcard in game week 32. Now, here is the master plan of FPLbodders. So, game week 32, we should be fine. Semenyo blank and we're good. We're cooking. We're okay. Then we get to double game week 33 and blank game week 34. The same teams that double in game week 33, blank in game week 34. And there's a couple more doubles along the way that we will talk about. As for game week 33 and game week 34, that is survival, okay? That is damage mitigation. Most people around my rank at this top rank are going to be playing their bench boost and then their free hit. I'm not going to be able to keep up with that unless a miracle happens. I'm not foolish. I'm not going to be, delusionally optimistic and think I'm going to be okay. I'm going to take some red arrows, but I am okay with that. I'm okay with just having an average game week while some of my peers have an amazing game week because I believe I will make that ground up in game week 35 to game week 38, for the last 4 game weeks, people will be using a team, you know, those who use their wildcard in game week 32, you guys will be using a fairly solid team, like it's not bad, but you mainly set up that team for a double in game week 33, and you thought about the rest of the season after. And I would do the same thing if I was doing your chip strategy. Don't get me wrong, that's the way to do it. But using my wildcard in game week 35, I'm only planning for 4 game weeks. I can have 4, you know, near enough, 3 hit-worthy game weeks back to back to back, and pair it with a bench boost in the double, whether it's game week 36 or game week 37. I can plan out each individual move, each individual transfer, game week by game week before the game weeks have even happened, because I'm only planning for the next 4 game weeks. And while I know I'm going to take a short-term loss in the next few game weeks, I believe focusing on the final 4 to gain the ground back up is actually more optimal. And once again, I could be wrong. Like, I'm not saying I'm right. The wildcard 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34 chip strategy could be better. It could be the optimal way to go, but I disagree. This is the way I want to play the game, and you know, I hope it's right, because the damage I'm taking in the next couple game weeks is scary, and I hope my wildcard can do enough to get me back into that top 5k position where I want to finish this season. It would be a shame to let it slip from my hands, especially since I was there halfway through the season. I don't want to have another season where my second chance score is awful, because that always seems to happen to me when I play this game. My first half of the season is sensational. I'm sitting there with a 5-digit rank, you know, sometimes a 4-digit rank. And then I go into the second half of the season and I just forget how to play. It's really strange. So hopefully this season is not the same. Hopefully my chips actually do me justice. Hopefully they're good for me. If you guys are wondering about double game week 36 and double game week 37, well, Man City and Palace will probably have a double somewhere, most likely in game week 36. I think there's a really, really small potential double for Liverpool and Bournemouth in game week 37. Like, I'm talking 5% chance maximum. I'm not sure what brings that on, and I don't think it's ever going to come to light. The Man City and Crystal Palace one is the one I'm focused on, because on my wildcard, I can bring in 3 players from each team and use that bench boost in double game week 36, so I can gain on all the people that use their wildcard in game week 32. Well, that's the plan in theory. I want you guys to let me know your chip strategy down in the comments and what you think of my chip strategy. Am I making an awful decision? Possibly, but only time will tell. So we go into game week 33, and this is how we plan to line up. I've made one change. You know, I'm going to go from Rice to Semenyo. Fairly obvious, because Rice has a tough fixture and Semenyo is a great player with a double game week. Now this team, it does look good. You know, compared to the average FPL manager, you know, including the ones that stopped playing in game week 3, my team is above average. But I'm not competing against those guys. I'm competing against the guys who are, you know, trying as hard as me. A lot of people will have 15 double game week players. Not everyone. And I'm sat here with a few single game week players and a few double game week players, just trying to get through the day. And against people on bench boost, I don't mind losing to them. Like, I'm not using a bench boost chip in a game week which is going to be very popular for the bench boost chip. So even though I have a bad game week here, it's not going to be the end of the world, because I still have my bench boost chip and I can make that ground back up. So hopefully, you know, my single game week players that are low owned, it'll be Gordon, Dango, Thiago and Ekatike. Hopefully those guys can pull through and get some returns, because that could make all the difference this game week. Then we go into blank game week 34, where I will currently have 7 players playing. Reed is fit to play, but he at best will play 1 minute, and even then I don't think he will. So I could make 4 transfers, take a -4 and field a full 11, but I'd rather just leave my goalkeeper spot as it is, not make a transfer and play with 10 men. I think that'll be fine. I think that'll be better. I don't think a goalkeeper is worth a -4 really. So in the defense, we will need to get rid of O'Reilly. You know, we just brought him in, now we've got to sell him, and I think it's up to 2 replacements. I think it could be Van Dijk or it could be Ballard. Remember, I'm using my wildcard in game week 35, so I only care about the next 1 game week. Van Dijk plays home to Palace, and Liverpool are on paper a decent defence, but they're on awful form, so I maybe don't want to go there. I could go with Ballard, but, you know, when I get to game week 34, I'll decide it. For now, I'm leaning more towards Van Dijk. Then we go into midfield, just brought Semenyo in, now he has to go. I'm thinking once again, I should probably target a Liverpool player. With Salah, it's risky because sometimes he gets dropped. I may just lean towards Florian Wirtz here. There's no other option I'm really considering for this spot, except maybe Salah if I think Salah's going to start. And then we have Haaland, who obviously needs to go, so I can maybe afford Salah if I want him. As for the Haaland transfer, I'm kind of deciding between 2 strikers as well. Jared Bowen's on good form and he has a good fixture home to Everton, but Brobby from Sunderland also has a really good fixture and his goal threat is a lot higher than Jared Bowen's, and because it's just a 1 game week punt, I may take the risk and go with Brobby. These are the 3 transfers I'm leaning towards the most at the moment. Now, people on free hit will have a better team than this, but if we're being honest, there's not a lot of crazy options on free hit anyway. Like, if I'm choosing transfers just for one game week and I'm looking at the likes of Florian Wirtz and Brobby, they're the best options available for me that I don't currently have. So the options available for other people can't be that good either, which is why I'm not too worried about blank game week 34, because I think I can cover it just fine. Most of the damage is going to be coming in double game week 33, and I'm okay with that because I will make it back up in double game week 36. Then obviously we go into game week 35 and we're going to make a wildcard team. I'm not going to lie, I am sad enough to have already come up with a 15-man squad that could carry me through the rest of the season. I'm not going to show it now and talk about it now because it will probably change. You know, injuries could happen, players could come on good form, players could come on bad form, lots of different possibilities, but I do have a clear game plan, and the teams with good fixtures have some good FPL assets. I could have some strong template players who a lot of people own, but I could also own a lot of differentials that are going to help me take back the ground I lost. Anyway guys, that is it from me. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. You are greatly appreciated, and I will see you all in the next video.